2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 14th of September, and it's National Cream-Filled Donut Day. And a big happy birthday to Andrew Lincoln, Alex Clara, Sam Neill, and Ashley Roberts. Tuesday saw King Charles III make his first visit to Northern Ireland since ascending to the throne. During the 4-hour-long visit, he held a private meeting with the new Northern Ireland Secretary Chris Heaton-Harris and some of Stormont's senior political figures before travelling to Belfast to attend a service in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. He spoke of his late mother's role in the country's reconciliation and promised to uphold her legacy.
Now, with that shining example before me, and with God's help, I take up my new duties resolved to seek the welfare of all the inhabitants of Northern Ireland.
During the ceremony, Speaker of the Northern Ireland Assembly, Alex Maskey, also paid tribute to the Queen.
Queen Elizabeth was not a distant observer in the transformation and progress of relationships in and between these islands. She personally demonstrated how individual acts of positive leadership can help break down barriers and encourage reconciliation.
Meanwhile, in London, preparations are underway for Her Majesty's funeral next Monday. The Queen's coffin's now been flown to London, where it spent the night in Buckingham Palace before being carried to Westminster Hall on Wednesday afternoon, where she'll lie in state for 4 days. Lieutenant Elizabeth Godwin from the Household Cavalry Regiment is involved in Wednesday's procession.
Nervous?
A little, and I think rightly so, for such a huge day for a magnificent Queen who's had 70 strong years as a strong female role model, and I feel incredibly proud to be part of that.
As millions across the UK gather to pay their respects to the late Queen and celebrate the new King, the right to free speech has been called into question, with at least 4 people having been arrested for protesting against the monarchy. Simon Hill was arrested and later de-arrested during King Charles III's proclamation in Oxford on Sunday. Here's what he says happened.
I called out who elected him, and a couple of people near me expressed their disagreements. I responded, but then security guards suddenly grabbed hold of me and pushed me backwards, and then the police intervened, took hold of me, led me down the road, handcuffed me, and arrested me.
Also on Sunday, a 22-year-old woman allegedly holding an anti-monarchy sign was arrested and charged with breach of the peace at the King's proclamation in Edinburgh. And on Monday, a 22-year-old man was charged with the same after allegedly heckling Prince Andrew during the Queen's funeral procession down the Royal Mile. Meanwhile, in London, barrister Paul Powsland was threatened with arrest for holding up a blank piece of paper outside Parliament, a move he says made to highlight the fragility of free speech rights.
The right to freedom of expression, and indeed all our rights to freedom, are very carefully woven over centuries, but can be very easily broken. And actually, they need to be constantly upheld.
Russia's war in the Ukraine has now been going on for 7 months, but the last 10 days have seen a dramatic turnaround as Ukraine's forces have reclaimed more than 6,000 square kilometres of land from Russia. And Ukrainian Deputy Defence Minister Hanna Maliar says their resilience and intellect won't let them down.
The difference between Ukrainian and Russian armies is obvious. The latter tries to make use of superiority in weapons and manpower, while the Ukrainian army relies on intellectual planning skills.
Reports emerged on Tuesday of Russian intelligence officers and military commanders fleeing Crimea, and senior research fellow in military sciences at the Royal United Services Institute, Justin Bronk, says things do look grim for Russia.
It's notable that there is something close to panic in the way that a lot of the kind of even really seasoned and hardline propagandists are talking about things, because there's no real way to spin this as anything other than a massive problem.
Twitter's former head of security, Peter Zatko, testified in front of the US Senate Judiciary Committee on Tuesday that the site is riddled with security risks. It included an allegation that lax controls on employees leaves user data vulnerable to exploitation. Well, Twitter weren't having any of it, with a company spokesperson describing Mr. Zatko's testimony as inconsistent and inaccurate in a statement following the hearing. But the whistleblower left senators in shock by claiming their accounts could be taken over in an instant.
And this kind of vulnerability is not in the abstract. It's not far-fetched to say that an employee inside the company could take over the accounts of all of the senators in this room.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Liverpool and Spurs are back in Champions League action and Bake Off returns. Right after this. Welcome back.
3,
While Premier League football may not be fully back, with only 7 of 10 fixtures going ahead this weekend, Champions League football's resumed with Spurs in Portugal to take on Sporting Lisbon and Liverpool entertaining Ajax in Anfield. It didn't go well for Tottenham. They lost 2-1 in an early kick-off. Liverpool were under pressure after their embarrassing 4-1 loss to Napoli in the first match of their group stage, so they were raring to go against Dutch champions Ajax. Things didn't go well there at first for Liverpool, but an 89th minute header from Joel Matip secured all 3 points. Manager Jurgen Klopp spoke after the match.
So half-time 1-1, and then it was clear we have to go back to how we started and keep going, because it was very intense for Ajax as well. How we played and the pressure we put in, tried to change with a different system. And finally one of the many set pieces we had led to the goal. Nice.
The 74th primetime Emmys took place on Monday night. Ted Lasso and Succession were the big winners, but the only topic on social media has been what exactly was going on when comedian Quinta Brunson had to literally step over Jimmy Kimmel to receive her Outstanding Writer for a Comedy Series award. The talk show host had been dragged onto the stage as part of a skit before the awards nominees were announced, but didn't get up, even when Quinta began to make her acceptance speech. Following the saga, Quinta said she wasn't too bothered by his actions, at least not yet.
Tomorrow maybe I'll be mad at him. I'm going to be on his show on Wednesday, so I might punch him in the face. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And Jimmy was oblivious as ever.
Honestly, I made nothing of it because I had my eyes closed. I had no idea where I was. It was one of the weirdest things that has ever happened to me.
We didn't know how much we needed it this week, but last night Channel 4 did the nation a stand-up and aired the first episode of this year's Great British Bake Off. Amongst this year's contestants are a salsa expert, pop culture enthusiast and talented linguist, so it'll certainly be an exciting group treading the biscuit-based carpet this year. There was a Star Wars-themed opener, and we won't tell you who got kicked off, but spoiler alert, the star baker was Janusz, who had the best reaction to winning ever.
I just wanted to tell you that I win a Star Caker in a Bake Week. No! I win! No!
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.